All right, so welcome to the cryptography working group. So last time we talked, I mentioned that we would have a schema, and basically I would take what Basel had in for that one example with the algorithm families, and then move that over into the repo that would then conform to that schema. So that work is done. So the schema is, I believe it's at a state where the changes that we agreed upon last time we met have been implemented. I think it's in a good state. I would like a review eventually on that. And then I think the bigger work is just taking all the knowledge that exists for the algorithm families and then porting it over. So I think that's kind of where we stand right now.
Yes. Thanks for doing that, for updating
Yeah,
creating the schema and updating the list.
yeah.
Yeah, thanks. So see, you have already put all the initial algorithms, right, in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I haven't verified. One of the changes that we had discussed last time we met was making the standards array, instead of an array of string, making it an array of object. And that object would then contain the name and the URL to that standard. So that has been done, although I had a little assistance from ChatGPT, so I guarantee you some of the URLs might be wrong. So it's going to need a human review.
Okay. So that was also generated, or was it derived from Basil's input, the URLs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Yep, yeah,
that's good.
Looking at the URLs, at least their names seem to make sense, right?
That's how AI fools you.
Yeah.
Seems to make sense.
But
but yeah, I think structurally, I think it's in a good state. Like I said, I think we just need to port over all the existing algorithms that we know of into this format. And if we make changes to the format, minor here and there, that's fine. We can do that. But I think the big work is actually going to be just moving all that knowledge over.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I probably have to revisit or to think about how, if the way that these kind of regexes are represented, if this is the way we want to have them, or if we want to put them in a certain format.
Yeah, I think
here's kind of a pseudo regex. So
right, it's not actually a regex. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of regex just because it's typically really slow, and you're going to get differences in how the different implementations of regex actually see things. The Perl version might be different than the Python, which might be different from the Java version, for example. But I actually kind of like the way that you did it, Basil. I think it makes sense where you have those placeholders, and the placeholders, the values that are in those placeholders are basically parameters that are specified in the standard.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, most of the time, yes. Sometimes if there is kind of a exhaustive list, like with the modes of AES, then it's just enumerating them. But
Right.
Otherwise, just a reference. One thing I wasn't sure was about how to deal about optional parameters there. Like for RSA, often when you parse those strings, you don't directly see the key length, for example. I think that will be a common case that you don't have the key length. So the last part there in this pattern would be optional, kind of.
Right.
Sure, if we
So,
would indicate that somehow with a question mark, like in regex, or
yeah, I was thinking maybe O colon and then and we could do it for everything. We could do it for like like an O colon for optional colon and then the name of the value. You could do a question mark if that's what you want to do for optional. Um, if you go down the question mark route, then if anything that doesn't have a variable would not have a question mark, for all the variables that do not have a question mark, then the assumption is that it's going to be required. Now that's the assumption, right? If you wanted to specifically state that something is required, then you might want to prefix the variable with like O or R, for example, or something else in the future.
yeah.
And maybe R is not even the right one because you might get into a situation where something is required, but then it's optional, but it's recommended.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And even worse when, I don't know if that's the case, when combinations are like kind of require each other. Like you have those two that should come together and the other two should come together, but both
Right.
are.
And that was one of my questions, right? If we've got like a couple of different acceptable patterns, that might be something worth representing. Because I think pattern right now is it just one or is it an array? I can't remember.
Just
Right now
one.
it's just one.
Just one?
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I think it could be an array kind of. I mean, it would be synonyms basically, right?
Yeah.
But I think the issue could be to match them as well, right? Okay, this synonym, this means the same as the other one. So it could be like could again lead to different names, right? Being represented differently, and then it
Yeah.
will be difficult to actually find out this is the algorithm that was meant, or this was the exact
Yeah.
variant that was meant. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm. True.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do you know if those edge cases exist in some algorithms that we need such an expressive notation, or like is optional the only case we want to cover? Like Steve, you mentioned required, but I don't know if that's something that just could be done, but maybe we don't have to or want to do it or even need to do it. But
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, it could also, I mean, we could say everything is optional unless we say it's required. That might be more
Mm.
flexible somehow, right?
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
I mean, I just browsed through the list that you also put in, I think, Nicholas, where
That
there
was
are,
just copy paste, so no,
yeah,
no
yeah.
cleanup then.
I mean, some of those algorithms match these first 10 entries that I put in. It's the same algorithm, but usually there is, I think, in general, there is less of these variants captured, right? Which, I mean, this list also comes from kind of the way that you find some identifiers and then you want to create a list out of it, right? You scan something and then you want to create a list out of it. So I think it will be quite common that you don't have all these details available that we have here in the
Yes.
these patterns from the variant. So
Yep.
from that, it could be useful to just make those patterns
Optional.
optional by default.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think
Then how would we maybe specify the things that are required then?
the question is, for me, what means required? Like in this, like from my point of view, when we come from the scanning side, we have a bare minimum of information we find and that we want to report. And this is like, speaking in security terms, one bit of information. Like if we know there's some RSA, then there's some RSA that we want to report. If we don't find the key size, but it is required, how we do it then? So then we don't report it? Do we just report, if RSA is, the key size is required, then we can't just report RSA, but maybe we have to or want to. So I think they're having a low
Maybe it's
bar.
recommended and optional. So instead of a hard requirement, maybe it's recommended and optional. I don't know. I think we still need a way to differentiate those, especially if we are going to default to recommended.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we need that, then is there something we can leverage that's already established? Steve, you mentioned, Batin mentioned the optional, which I'm also familiar with the question mark, but I think for recommended or required, is there a better way to represent it, the established way?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Me neither.
Yeah, I can't think of a way. I mean, we could always do like the double brace versus single brace type of thing. So something has like a double brace in it, for example, it might be recommended. If something is only encapsulated with one brace on each side, it would be optional type of thing. Not overly intuitive. Again, we can always do the R colon or something else. Or come up with our own. Prefix it with a plus sign or something. Plus mode, for example, to indicate that, you should probably have that.
Yeah, I mean, something like that, right? I mean, just something that doesn't collide with something in name, right?
Yeah, I don't. Well,
Like
hopefully a plus sign is not going to collide with an existing name.
there's Sphinx Plus, for example.
Yes.
Because
oh, it would collide.
it has really a plus sign.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, but okay, that makes so I'm not good with the English terms you mentioned of how to do it, so I have no visual representation for my eyes currently how those patterns could look like. But I mean, I think they would make sense if they don't collide. So we can just use it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. If we say just the first character of a pattern is this indication, right? There shouldn't be a conflict then, right? So it will be like first one is either a plus or a question mark, or
Right.
Yeah, that would make sense.
That would make sense. Yeah. So the first character has to be either a plus or question mark. That would make sense to me.
Plus would be recommended, question mark would be optional. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so if it's not optional, then it's recommended, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Simple.
Okay.
Nice.
That works for me.
Nice.
Okay.
Yep. Noise.
Okay. I noticed you had, Nicholas, I noticed you had, I think anyway, I was going through all of my GitHub notifications rather quickly the other day, but I thought I saw one from you.
Hopefully not just one.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Just
where are we on that PR?
it's now fixed. I mean, I needed one more attempt to create it correctly, but it should be now including all the things we had in before that we changed, and it's now very clean. So you can see the changes.
Okay.
And target is the 1.7 depth.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so that one's ready to go then. Yeah.
I think Juan wanted to review it just quickly because he was confused at one point when the certificate state was basically lost because he's looked at the PR with an old state. So he was a little bit shocked and wrote me a mail. But
Okay.
I
Nice.
explained and he wanted to review the current one.
Okay.
Mm.
All right.
So
Thanks, and Basil, you did. Yeah.
yeah, I created another PR, but to Nicholas, your branch with this thing that we discussed last week about the Ike V2 structure there.
Yeah.
Now I noticed that you really mean my branch. Thought it was a 1.7 crypto, but it's really okay.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how to. I mean, maybe the goal is that you keep this branch, right, and we make all the edits, and then we merge this PR, something like that, or
Yeah, we can do that.
merge your PR and then do other changes to the main repository. No, but I just wanted to avoid some merge conflicts.
Not again.
Yeah, we can put it all in the same PR. I think that's fine. And the PR that you have right now is draft, so that's a good indication. It's probably not ready to review right now. So that's fine. You do have a to-do in there regarding the serial number pattern. So that will, if Jan actually does a review, he would not merge that if that was in there. So
Yes.
we'll have to figure out the answer to that.
Yes.
Okay.
There's another to do too, which I also kept inside, if I'm not mistaken. But I can't remember. Check. Yeah, so I think Basil, I can merge your changes to my branch, or do you have to change anything there? I looked through it. For me, it looks fine. So we're just.
Oh, you can just, if you think it's okay, then you can merge it.
Yeah.
Then it will be automatically in your PR, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, other than that, I mean, I think it's looking good. We said that the Ike stuff is not in there, right?
The what? Sorry.
The Ike V2 stuff?
It's now in there.
Oh, it is. It is now in there. Okay. Certificate state. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. Right, right. Well, that's the state. Okay, that's that. Where am I looking for? Oh yeah, yeah, I see it. Yep. Okay. 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 So now
okay,
I
yeah,
think that
that's
what's that?
just, and I noticed that I didn't notice actually on Basil's PR. Those changes are for 1.6, so we have to clear that up.
Okay. That's all right.
Yeah, so kind of have to just move it
Oh,
to the
right. Yeah, I
1.2.
see that now. Okay. Yeah, we don't want to change 1.6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can do another PR revert to
Just, yeah,
previous.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I was stuck with 1.6.
Uh, yeah, I see that now. Okay. Okay, so you guys are going to correct that.
Mhm.
And um, now that the now that this is essentially going to be fleshed out, the 1.7 schema, and now that we also have this other algorithm family thing, how are those two things going to now work?
Hmm.
Are these just going to be like, is the CycloneDX schema going to continue to be what it is? Should it use explicitly the values that is in that algorithm family JSON or something else?
I think that was the idea, right? That we use
Yeah,
that we created the family kind of property
yeah,
and then use those family names or family as enums or whatever. I don't know if enums, but like values
right.
for that.
Yeah, yeah, and so I think that needs to be fleshed out still.
Mm-hmm.
Um, right now, I do not believe you can just use an enum of strings. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so once we get this fleshed out on the algorithm family side, what I can do is basically, I was thinking about this a week ago or so, is create a script that, GitHub Action or whatever, that just looks at the block of family definitions and then just automatically puts the enum values in that same scheme.
Yep.
So we would actually have it. Um, so that
Yep.
would be one approach that we could do. Um,
Okay. And this will be done for basically for each Cyclone release then. I mean, can be in the meantime, but I mean, the changes will only be published.
well, it would, because it's a separate thing, it would evolve independently of the CycloneDX spec, just like the SPDX license list evolves separately.
But the enum definition also done in the Cyclone definition, or
The enum values, yeah.
yeah.
We can evolve those
They can be.
independently.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, that would be fine. Because again, that's what we do with the SPDX license list. Um,
Okay. I was wondering because like this has then also some implications on the supporting libraries, and I don't know if there's anyone like maintaining it like over in between releases. Like I
mhm.
know there's updates, but like those changes, if they will be implemented then.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. We probably need to figure out an intake process,
mm-hmm,
right, on how we're going to maintain that over time.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm just trying to get the schema structure
Mm-hmm.
and um, continuous build process set up so that we can actually do it. We can figure
Oh,
out
nice,
how, the process, the intake process and all that later.
nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So even that would be then automated, basically, the
Yeah.
enum population in those. Okay,
Yeah.
libraries. Nice.
Yeah, we could do
Nice.
that.
That's cool.
As long as the families are defined, right? So
Yep.
the objective here would be so what we typically do is we will we've got the schema definitions or the CycloneDX specification versions obviously are right. They don't change, right? 1.6
Mm-hmm.
is 1.6. 1.7 is going to be 1.7. It won't change. Um, but like in the case of the SPDX license list, what we do is we occasionally we rebuild that entire SPDX enumeration from scratch, and then we publish that on the in both JSON and XML. We publish that back to the CycloneDX website, and we distribute those to the maintainers. And it's the maintainers' responsibility to then take that updated list and then use that in their implementations, is
I
kind of
see.
how we do it. So regardless of if the implementation embeds all the schemas or if they resolve the sub-schemas from our URL, either way will actually work.
Okay, nice.
So that's kind of how we do it. And I would envision that, you know, we would basically take that same approach because we've done it before. We know it works. Take that same approach to the algorithm families as
Yep,
well.
sounds good.
Okay. All right. So you guys are going to work on updating the PR. And let me know if you're unable to use the I don't think you will be able to in the way you want. So my assumption is that you're not going to be able to use the algorithm family JSON as is. Still needed. All that data is still needed, but I think what's also needed is just the enumeration of just the names itself. But let me know. Just give me confirmation if that's the case or not. And I can get that done while you're working on updating the PR. So that's fine. Is there anything else kind of outstanding? I mean, we've got the curve names, and I think we have a path for that because we identified, you know, how to spot duplicates and aliases and stuff like that last time. So I think we have a path forward on that, and we just need to essentially create a script that, you know, pulls in all the data that we need. That work hasn't been done yet. But other than that, is there anything else that's kind of outstanding that we need to include in the crypto properties in 1.7?
I don't have
Um,
any more changes on my mind. No.
Okay.
no, me neither. Think I will look at our this PR, not this PR, this issue we have in our task list if there's anything, but I think we covered everything.
Okay. I'll try to work on that script to mine all the curves and get that in the format that we were kind of looking for. So
Nice.
I'll take that on. I can probably have that done next time we meet or so. Um, so that shouldn't be overly difficult. And is IBM or anyone else that you know of, are they going to be testing this 1.7 beta, this pre-release stuff that we're doing? Are you guys doing any internal testing to validate?
Now that's the moment. I mean, I would then implement it quite quickly in our scanning technology. But I depend basically on the Java library and the Go library, and I don't think I have currently time to kind of, you know, go there a step forward and try to
Yeah.
implement that for beta.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I was just curious if we can get validation that that, you know, from a tool vendor that the changes have been beneficial. Okay. I'll
I mean,
also reach out to
yeah.
Pragu as well because he's like the maintainer of CDX Gen, right? I'll reach out to him because he's got a little bit of this capability. I'll reach out to him and
Yeah.
see if there's anything that he thinks might be missing as well that would be useful in his use cases.
Do you have there also, like, it's a little bit off track, but do you have there some insights on how you want to support this capabilities? Because I occasionally look into the CDX Gen mostly for Java and try to identify the output and make sense of how meaningful it is, and wonder basically what if you have kind of a bench or Pandu, I think was his name. He has a like a goal which you want to achieve, or is he waiting for some requirement from customers to go really into CBOM population? Or yeah, I just wanted to get a feeling of.
I don't know.
Okay.
I probably need to talk to him more. That would be my guess. Yeah, I probably need to talk to him more. Realistically, what I would like to do is, and I've been thinking about this a lot, but what I would like to do is later this year, kind of establish using the SCVS bomb maturity model, establish like what output can the tools do today, and use the maturity model to kind of describe, the different types of data that it can produce. And then also use it to describe like where the roadmap is. So you actually can do the delta on what the differences are. Right.
That's a very good point, and we definitely should talk about that, I guess, because we focus on CBOM, not on the others, but focus on that. Because that way there also we were thinking, and we stumbled upon the need of having different kind of levels or maturity degrees, because companies like ScanOS, who do basically a grab or a search on the source code, they might find strings that indicate that the algorithm are used, and they can also put some OIDs and stuff in there, but they can't understand the full context. It's still useful in some sense, but it should be. And we were basically in the conflict when we talked to them a little bit that, yeah, on the other hand, we want to have widespread CBOM, but we also want to have good quality widespread CBOM,
Yeah.
or indicate that this is maybe not the detailed CBOM, because on the other hand, this could then harm the use case. If you have not the right quality to fulfill your use case, problem. And so there's then maybe the need to flag or label CBOMs with a specific maturity level. And I think that will go in the same direction you mentioned.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. Do you know if IBM or others utilize the component evidence capabilities of CycloneDX alongside CBOM? So like describing like how you got the data that you did, whether it was through static analysis or, whatever. Are you actually using the evidence part? And if so, like, are there any gaps that you've seen? That would also be really interesting feedback.
No clue. I don't have much insight on how SBOMs are utilized in IBM. I mean, maybe Matt Rutkowski knows. He's more, or was more, in the area of general IBM SBOM usage. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
In the CBOM kit, for example, I mean, in the evidence, we also have these things like, file names and line numbers and offsets, something like that. I mean, that's probably something that will be used for crypto scanning.
It could be. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, I mean, for CBOM, we do use it, but in general, for SBOM, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I was asking specifically for CBOM. So
Okay.
using evidence in a CBOM, right? And has that proven useful?
Yes.
And that's good. And have any gaps essentially been identified? Like things you wish you could describe as evidence, how you derive something, but you weren't able to express it.
Yeah, one thing, especially for our use case, but I mean, we have a workaround there, which I think is also fine because it's very specific, but just as you asked, for the use case of identifying, so later we have a second phase where we kind of look into a CBOM and try to find false positive and correlate basic source code scanning with configurations. And for one specific use case, which is looking into the Java security files and understanding the roots, we have to know which findings are related from the CBOM origin, basically, which are related to Java. And what we do there is we check if the file name we get has at the end the .java. So that's currently how we do it. There could be also just a key value pair indicating this finding was detected or corresponds to some Java code. Then it would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
But I don't know if that's too specific to represent it there.
No. I mean, it provides me, it's good to know that you use it that way and that you found a workaround. I think it's an acceptable workaround. But yeah, I mean, if there's really any gaps that exist, especially when you're trying to find out key length or modes or, all the other things related to specifically to cryptography, it'd be good to know, like, are the methods and techniques that we have there good enough, or do we need to add something else?
Yeah.
Honestly, don't know.
I also thought that we are a little bit further ahead now to consume C-bombs. We get eventually, or we do some small things on that area. And we got also the feedback from a colleague that Basil now implemented with this PR, which was basically a feedback from C-bomb consumption.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think there's still some gaps and some things to explore. But
Okay.
I think this will come up and came up already, not that often. So
Okay. All right. Well, let me know. Keep that in mind. Let me know if you want to, provide feedback back. That's fine.
yeah.
Okay, good. Is there anything else the groups wants to discuss today?
No, not really. Just in general, I actually have absolutely not enough time to really. I mean, I just took half an hour before this call to actually put those algorithms in there with a small Python script. I hope I find more time, but it looks kind of not good at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, just a heads up. But
Okay. All right. Very good.
Yeah,
All right.
for me, similar. It's I try to take an hour or so every week so far, but I think it will need a few, let's say, a full day or so of work or a couple of days to actually get this list in a good
Yeah.
shape.
Yeah.
So hope
Yeah.
to find that time, let's say, in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we're in no rush yet, so that's good. Yeah, I mean, normally we've released a new version every first or second quarter. That's not happening this year. So 1.7 is turning out to be a fairly big spec. It will likely be the last of the 1.x series, would be my guess. So from there on out, we're going to be focusing a lot of effort on 2.0. Anyway, well, maybe we can end this short then today. So
Yep.
no need to keep everyone on the phone. But good conversation today, Basil and Nicholas. Thank you so much. Thanks for the PR. And I'll let you know once that elliptic curve stuff is in. And let me know. Just give me confirmation on the algorithm family stuff, that the enumeration of strings is in fact a hard requirement once you get to that point, and I'll get that done as well.
Okay.
Cool.
That's good.
All right.
Right.
Have a great day,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.